Start off with you just saying your name
Yeah,
and where you live.
okay. I'm Jack, originally John, Troutwine, and I live on Elsa Avenue, which is between Cold Spring and Belvedere. Uh, and I live in the house that my great grandfather built,
Wow.
and it's been in the family ever since. So, and I have a house full of that. All the they were savers, so I have a house full of stuff.
Yeah.
Even have the original tax records
Wow.
of the property tax.
Wow. So when did your grandfather, great grandfather, when did he move? When did he first come? Did he come from Germany or?
Yeah, he came from Germany with two brothers, and later their parents came. But it was originally in the 1830s that he came, late 1830s, early 40s. I don't have that specific date. But he first moved into East Baltimore, and where most immigrants really started out in East Baltimore, and he was a cabinet maker, but why he moved out into Laurelville and bought this property, I don't know. But he bought several acres, and it was a farm that and basically his wife operated the farm, and his sons, and he went on to he had a shop there for woodworking and cabinet making right alongside of the house. That building still stands too. I don't own that building, but that building is still there.
Stop just a minute. Do you need him to re-say that because you just walked by?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to sip a
Okay.
coffee.
I'm having one too.
Exactly. Exactly.
That was great though. I like it.
I love the
intro.
fact that you still have that, the building that he had his woodworking shop, cabinet shop still there. Talk
It's-
more about that, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, the building is still there. I don't own it, and it. So he built the house alongside of my house, and that was for his son, who took over the farm. But then he ended up being a builder, and built many of the homes out there. And he also built two churches. He built the original Grace Lutheran Church, which would have been on the opposite side of Harford Road than the church now. It was a wooden building. Then he also built Jerusalem Lutheran Church over Moravia Boulevard and Bel Air Road. And that's where he's buried there. He and a lot of his family were buried at that church. So he himself was then also founded Sachs Lumber and Mill, which was probably most people will know it by Bond Lumber later on. Most of his sons, other sons, worked there at the mill and lumber yard. But basically, you can say that Sachs Lumber started in that building, his workshop. But anyway, so he is listed in Baltimore Who's Who in the late 1800s. He was, had a family, I think we're 7 in the family. But I do have a picture of them, the family, when my grandmother was the youngest, and she was just infant at that time. A picture of them alongside of the house. Now the house used to face Harford Road, but it sits, it's from now across the street from the school. So, but when Elsa Avenue became he changed, moved it, didn't move it, he just rearranged, and it faces now Elsa Avenue.
Wow. What was your great-grandfather's name?
What's that?
What was his name?
George Sack.
George Sack. S-A-K?
S-A-C-K.
C-K, got it.
And that was Sachs Lumber Mill in
Yep,
Harbor.
got it. Wow.
So that's sort of the background of him. His parents, his brother had a farm over in Orangeville.
Yes.
Yeah, it's headquartered in Orangeville.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think this is unclear, but I believe their parents lived there with the brother in Orangeville. Now the farm was a truck farm, and they had their stall down in the Belair Market, and they of course would be open just on Saturdays, and I can remember after my grandmother died, we lived in the house next door, which she had built, and she had rented out, and she herself was divorced, and raised my dad. But anyway, she was kind of a remarkable person. In 1918, you had the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, part of the family died. It was one of her sisters, and so she took on the 2 children and raised them, and finished raising them. And but she was pretty much on her own all the time, and but amazing. She was kind of an amazing person. I can have it. Let me get back to where I was. I got sidetracked, but I can remember my bedroom was right next to the garage in which my great uncle, had his Model A Ford pickup truck. And so at 5 o'clock in the morning, every Saturday morning, I would hear that thing crank up. And he would take his stuff down to Bel Air Market. And but I was awakened every Saturday morning hearing the noise of that truck. But the barn and some of the garage and a couple of buildings were taken down in the late 50s. And I still have some of that, some boards from that. And by the way, I mean, some of them ended up down Fells Point in making the display cabinets. If you remember, if you went in the Christmas room, it was a barn board look. It was from there. But anyway, so he died in, I think it was, George Sack died in 1918 and 1919 in that realm. And so it's so that's sort of the background of the family, and it's kind of an interesting thing. My dad never knew his father, but it ended up that his father was in the heating business and installed many of the central heating plants in Washington. My dad ended up as in the heating business here, and he never knew that. And that's sort of kind of ironic. Also, that I got in. I was managing of the Inner Harbor Lumber and Hardware, and my grandmother had a card shop in her building, her home, and for the neighbors. And I still have that sign. The Elsa Avenue Card Shop. Still have that sign. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's take a break for a second.
Gosh, when was it? I was not here. I think I was out in the church out on Garrison Boulevard at that time.
Were they on Hartford Road? Bond Lumber?
Bond Lumber, Hartford and Cold Spring.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before that, they were. Where were they? Weren't they in East Baltimore?
Who, Bond?
Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember. Because I grew up in East Baltimore.
Yeah.
And I remember getting something at the Bond number.
Well,
so this is like 60 years ago when I got something out of Bond Lumber. Don't ask me what it was. I have no idea. But it was more than 60.
Strange that they moved.
Wait a minute, 70 years ago.
They moved out to Lutherville then.
Okay.
Bond Lumber.
All right.
After the fire.
Yeah, but I remembered the name, and I remember.
But you were mentioning they were down in Baltimore, East Baltimore. In my research in Fells Point, back in 1770s, it was a John Bond
Really?
who opened a lumber yard in Fells Point.
Oh, okay.
So I thought it was connected, you know.
Yeah.
So I went out to
remember.
the people out in Lutherville and found out that it wasn't. It was,
No, it was
it was
on Bond.
completely
That's
different. Huh?
it was on Bond Street. That's why it was
Yeah.
called Bond Lumber.
Yeah.
on Bond
Well,
Street.
this was one
And it's
on Bond Street too.
Yeah, near. That's why it was called
So
Bond.
right down in the
And
heart of
it's
Fells
supposed-
Point.
Yeah, and it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
That's why it was called that.
So, do you remember when you were growing up, you knew your grandparents?
I knew my grandmother.
Okay.
And that on my dad's side. I knew my grandparents on my mother's side, but yeah.
Okay. And can you talk about, did you do any kind of activities in Herring Run Park, or were you guys involved in Herring Run Park at all?
With where?
Herring Run Park.
Oh yeah.
You talk about experiences in Herring Run Park.
Okay, my experience in the Herring Run
Starting
Park.
with your earliest.
Huh?
Starting with your earliest, if you could.
My earliest experience?
Yeah.
Well, let me start with the family's early experience.
Perfect. I even love that better, yes.
On the 4th of July, every year, the family early on, this would be back in the 1800s and early 1900s, celebrated the 4th of July back in somewhere around Mount Pleasant of Herring Run Park. It was in that wooded area back there, because it had been all woods at that time.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks prior to the 4th of July, my grandmother would always go back to a spring back there. And she would clean out the spring so they would have clean water to drink during the celebration. Now, I have some pictures I believe I still have them, of them back here. And that would have been in the 1910 and 1920. But anyway, they celebrated 4th of July back there every year. So that's the earliest that I can. It also, my grandfather bought property, extended his property from the Elsa Avenue back almost to Mount Pleasant. So he owned that property back in that area. Now the farm didn't go back there, but he owned that property, which was later sold by my uncle, and it was developed into that whole community back between Grendon and the park. But I remember as a really, I guess in the before 12 years old or so, going back into those woods, and back in that Mount Pleasant, right over the Herring Run stream. Back in that area where the football field is now, Mount Pleasant, well, if you go back west and southwest of that, it was all woods. And I remember going back there because there was a hermit that lived back there.
Stories, yes.
And so we we used to go back there, and he had goats and chickens, and so we went back there just curiosity's sake, you know. And he had, I can recall, he had a small bridge over. It looked like a very very small stream. It fed into Herringman, and but we were scared to death that he would come out and see us because we didn't know what he would do. But that's one of my earlier remembrances of the park. And there is one other one, and this one is very vague to me because it happened when I was very young. I'm saying pre 5 years old, in that very early area. That for some reason we were down at Hall Springs, and back west of Hall Springs there was along this herring run, there was a sand patch, a sandy, like a little, and I can remember that being doing a picnic there. But I don't know what it was associated with or anything else, but the image always is there with me, was that. And then and then I had and I wrote about this in one of my books, but I was always told when it was good, we had the bicycles, and we go around, never to go on Harford Road. So that's off limits. Well, we used to go back on Grindon Lane near Hartford Road. It was the pickle factory. The sauerkraut, they made sauerkraut. And for a nickel, you got a dill pickle or sauerkraut. Well, that was, you had to have that. So anyway, we were down there and we decided that we were thirsty. So we knew about, Hall Springs. I had been there for some reason or another before. Maybe it was because our baseball team that we played for. That was our home team down, our home field down in there. But so we decided we were going to go down and get a drink at Hall Springs. So we got down the Hartford Road very easily. It wasn't too far. And we got into it was a gravel road that went down into Hall Springs. Got down there at Hall Springs, and I made a turn on the gravel road. And I went all over the road. I was down. I had broke my glasses, and I had a cut in my forehead, which is still there. The scar is still there, and banged up my knee. So I had to go home and face my parents. And I had to then go get a tetanus shot, and so that was one of the experiences I had with the.
With all his braids.
Were you going down the hill?
Huh?
You went down the hill.
No, just going down the gravel.
The
That's what I meant.
gravel road,
The
yeah.
gravel road.
Yeah, down
Yeah,
the road, and
right.
I stopped and turned and went down.
Well, a bike on gravel, I used to do
Huh?
that. When I was a kid, I was going down a gravel road and I just splayed and I just got all beat up. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know.
But,
And gravel's
yeah.
no fun to land on. at all.
I mean, just couldn't get by with anything. And it's a matter of fact that it was another instance with that same bike. It's, Carson Harbor Road, that I wasn't supposed to do. But Pete's bicycle shop. Well, Pete's bicycle shop used to be just an outbuilding in the back of what was known where Pete lived.
Oh.
And he turned later into the massive bicycle. But anyway, back there. So everybody else, it was a group of us, and we were going to go to Pete's bicycle shop because he had models there that he built. You know, and he sold pretty much any little thing, but he repaired bikes and all that. So everybody got across the street, and I said, I remember I can't cross the street, so I hesitated. So, all of a sudden I decided to go. When I went, as I started over, the light changed. Motorcycle came tearing down and caught my bike on the rear reflector. And I ended up in the gutter. And he ended up, didn't hurt anything, you know. I was, and he wasn't hurt or anything.
Wow.
But
Is that the same Pete that became the motorcycle place?
with that,
Is
yeah.
That the yes, that's the same Pete.
Yeah,
Because
same
there's
Pete.
Pete's
Now
motorcycle.
he's up on Bel Air Road.
He's now in Bel Air
He's
Road.
up on Bel Air Road
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
But he was in Hartford
He
Road
was
for a
on
long,
Hartford Road for a
long,
long
long
time.
time.
But he
So
started
as
out
a bike
in
shop.
I didn't know he started as a bike shop.
Huh?
I didn't know he started as a bike shop. That was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, he was started in a little shed. Really, that's all it
Wow.
was in the back.
Wow.
But
So-
anyway,
Yeah.
they say you can never get by with anything. My mother, we dealt with Harrison's drugstore right across the Harvard Road at that point. And Dr. Harrison squealed on me when my mother
And
came.
found out.
Well, he saw it.
Yeah. Your kid's out on the road getting.
So he told my mother,
No.
can never get by with anything.
I know. So talk to us more about your experiences in Herrinman Park.
With what?
Your family and your experiences in Herrinman Park.
Having picnics and things.
Yeah.
That's it.
What else? You gave us some great ones so far. 4th of July, the
Yeah,
picnic down at the beach.
Because there was there a lot of sand there down there?
Yeah, it was like a small beach
That's what I
type
meant.
of thing.
Beach, yeah.
Well, the other experience was that we used to get our water from Hall Springs.
Yeah.
And that was, and of course, my dad managed the baseball team that was from Zion Lutheran Church, which was on Grindon and Mainfield. And that we played mainly down at Herriman Park or Mount Pleasant Park. And later on we played, when I was In college, or between high school and college, Zion had a softball team,
Wow.
and we had to play down there on that. So
Baseball and softball.
that was pretty much it as family. And most of it, the recollections would have been outside of what I have made, was with the group of kids in the neighborhood. We used to go back to Mount Pleasant. They had a playground there. And that was pretty much it. With Herringham Park itself, the I can't recall anything of a real family deal. Outside of that, of course, I drove past that park many times, but both of the parks. But
Okay. So Jack, how old were you when you left Lorville? When you personally left that community? How old were you, or what year was it when you left Lorville?
Left Lorville?
Mm-hmm. Because I know that you left there for a while, now you're back.
Well, of course I left during college and seminary.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been in the, let's see, I went to college. I worked after high school. I went to Poly, and I worked after high school. I worked for the B&O Railroad for a year and a half, 2 years. And then I went to college. So by the time I got out of college and seminary, I was in my I guess 27, 28. Because I was the time I spent working. And then I lived with my parents for a while I had a assistantship out in Lutherville. And I was youth director there, and during the 60s, late 60s, and did things like I had established a coffee house. At that time it was a big thing. And, so then I moved in after I left the ministry in Lutherville. I basically went out to West Baltimore, and it was a congregation out there. It was there's a all-black congregation in one fabulous experience. Then I moved to, I left the ministry and moved to Fells Point and established my first shop there. I made 600 pair of earrings. I opened a shop with 600 pair of earrings, and I started to make mobiles and make candles, and in the same building that my later shop was in. So, I returned When I was in my 60s, early 60s, mid 60s, basically it was to take care of my dad. And so, and also the fire that I had, it all came together at the same time.
Yeah.
Um,
So, so when you left, about what year was it when you left? When you came back and stayed with your parents after college, around what year was that?
Let's see. I graduated from seminary in 64.
Okay.
And I got married in 68. And then basically I was away from Laurville until 2002 when I had the fire.
So when you were there during the mid-60s, early 60s, was Laurville changing demographically? Were black people moving in?
What's it? What?
Was black people moving in the 60s? Do you remember?
A few. It had just started. I can remember the Zion, the church I attended, when I was a teenager. Took in the first black family, so that church had a big influence over me. It was no, it started back in that time, even when I was, and of course it was the time when I was in high school. It was the integration of black into in the public school system and high schools, and I can remember that very well. I was.
Were you at Poly then?
Huh?
Were you at Poly?
I
when
was
it
at
happened?
Poly.
So it's 1955.
Yeah. I graduated in February 56, 56, from Poly.
What was that experience like?
Huh?
What was that experience like? Can you talk
But
about that experience of integration? What was that like?
It was, I cannot recall at Poly it being any kind of traumatic experience. I can, it was, and I'm not saying that there wasn't resistance, because I think there probably was, but no, it didn't have any real impact that you would maybe think it would have had.
There were demonstrations
There were demonstrations.
at Poly. Did you see any of that?
I remember seeing a demonstration. But it was not.
It wasn't big.
No, it didn't make a big impression
Right.
at that point. And it wasn't. any enduring type of thing. It didn't affect school life at all. Because I would have, totally remembered it. But that
So when it started, but you were finishing up since you graduated in February. You were finishing up. You were a senior.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you were finishing up, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't really bother you when.
But yeah, no, it was not a. I wish I could recall more on it, but I recall that there was one demonstration, and I saw it out of the window of Polly.
Right.
I remember looking down upon.
And what was the demonstration about? Who was demonstrating, and what were they demonstrating about?
It would have to have been they were resisting the, because that's where the demonstration would have been.
Yes.
It wouldn't have been elsewise.
But it was like.
But
it wasn't great.
I can remember though, and I'm not saying that there wasn't a form of racism going on in my family.
Sure.
But I can also vividly recall this. The Postal Service used to have separate trucks that went around to each mail drop box in the communities. And I can remember specifically there was a black man who was supposed and we were, for some reason, he had stopped. And whether he was delivering something or whatever, I can remember him being in our front yard. And the N-word came up. And my father looked at me, he says, "You never say that word." I can remember specifically.
What was it like, the integration of the neighborhood and into your church?
In what?
At your church, you said that Zion had a black family, and
there was
black people moving into the neighborhood. What do you remember about those experiences?
There was some resistance to that, but the minister was totally integration. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was, and I cannot say that about the Lutheran Church, but he was way ahead of this time, and that's where I had big influence on me, but the family stayed, and eventually was integrated into the congregation, but it was mainly because of Pastor Reese. He was as I said, when I was pastor at Augsburg out in West Baltimore, man, I came up against a lot of stuff within the church and at large, and I along with a pastor down in East Baltimore, were sent to headquarters out in Chicago. to calm down.
Training.
Yeah, huh?
Was that for training or?
Well, it turned out that it was not only to. It turned out that we had an influence. And we were probably responsible for including, changing the hymnal of all things, to include things like Lift Every Voice.
Some African American
Yeah.
influence in it.
And it was a but when I was out at Augsburg, I was a part of what was known as Ministerial Alliance, and there was a group of ministers and some others who were called the Goon Squad. And so I eventually was pulled into that group. It was an all-black group, and we used to meet in the parsonage, and my parsonage, and it's people like Baron Mitchell, and that group.
I love
And I can recall that the phone was being tapped, and anytime we would meet, we had to have music playing and all this kind of stuff. But I was ostracized, basically. When I left there because my wife had left me, and she was a lot of the part of the ministry there, but I left for other reasons, and also the fact of integration, that the church was just not there, and that's when I went down to Fells Point.
Yeah.
But,
so you were ahead of the church. As far as you and the other gentleman, the other Lutheran pastor, you guys were operating way far ahead of where the Lutheran church was at that time.
The ministry at that time, they were scared to death of losing their pensions.
Yeah.
So they basically kept quiet. Yeah. I can recall I went to what would be called the bishop, and he was highly sympathetic for what we were doing, and it was out of a meeting with him that we established an organization of urban ministers from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore. But it's my experience there was at Augsburg. I didn't want to leave. In fact, when I went back into the ministry, because Augsburg didn't have a minister.
Oh.
And it took him a year to find out how to get me back into the ministry, the synod. So in that time, Augsburg got a minister, and that's, the bishop called me in and said, well, we have a church out in Columbia. I says, no. I said, I'm on an urban congregation. He says, well, try it.
That's a commute.
But And the reason I went back into the church also was I saw the church was actually doing something about hunger, world hunger, and in the right way. And so by that small congregation, I was only part-time, and that small congregation raised more per person than any other congregation, Lutheran congregation in the United States.
Wow. That's impressive.
For world hunger.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's stop a second.
You know, like some white kids going over there. This is like during the 20s or 30s, and just having a good time. Did you hear stories like that took place up there?
No.
Yeah. That was just one of those stories. You know, it may have been true. It may
No,
not have been true.
we used to in the fall, and we used to hear the band practicing.
Yeah, we
and
hear.
Also you could hear the football games.
Yeah.
The
wind blowing. Right?
You know, when they scored a touchdown, you knew. You heard it. Yeah.
I got. I don't know if we're gonna restart it.
No, but David's going ahead. He's go ahead.
I have a question regarding. You may mention the fact that there was a hermit that you all, heard about or ran up against.
The hermit.
The hermit. There are stories in some of the newspapers that we looked at that talk about a hermit. So, what stories do you know about the hermit? No more than the hermit. Did he have goats and chickens and stuff like that, or what part of it did he?
The hermit was a hermit.
It was.
And the stories would have been very limited. There were stories that he used to get. He used to go to a grocery store on List Avenue. What is it, Merkel's? But infrequently. And infrequently he used to go to Saks Lumber to pick up some stuff. And then it was a story, and I think this was in the Sun paper, that when he died, and he died when I was in college, I think. But there were the stories that they had to carry him up there, or they pulled him up in some kind of a rig up a hill to get him out of the take him to the morgue. And but no, he was. I mean, a hermit. You don't. The nature of a hermit. He stays by himself, and he wants to stay by himself, and he avoids the public as much as he can.
Did you ever see him?
Did I ever see him?
Yes.
I think I did. But it was a moment he came out of his building or house or dwelling or whatever you want to call it, and it was a wooden shack, and he went right in. That was when and we began to hot-tail it out. But
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he was a mystery to us, and as a child. And,
It reminds me of To Kill a Mockingbird. Reminds me of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Boo Radley.
Yeah.
For Jim and Scout, he was a mystery.
Yeah,
this guy, and he'd leave them little toys in the tree for them.
yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about these families.
Oh, yeah,
these-
go right
these
ahead.
names.
Yeah.
Did you know a William or Johanna Beck? They lived at 4502 Mainfield Avenue.
Beck?
Beck. They had 2 kids, Ruth and Bill Jr.
No. It
Okay.
doesn't matter. I'm trying to go back into, and I don't think they were a member of the church there.
Okay.
No.
Did you know the Lauders?
Lauders.
Lawder. Samuel and Jess Lauder. They lived at 4520 Grindon Avenue. And they had 4 children, Clara, Rose, Henry, and Francis. And he went by his middle name, Seaborn.
Yeah, but what?
He went by his middle name, Seaborn. Seaborn Lauder.
No. That
Okay.
doesn't.
No problem.
Uh-uh.
And the last one is the Diggs.
Oh,
The Diggs.
Diggs?
Diggs. Russell and Anna. They lived at 1910. Excuse me. They were at 110 Grindon Lane.
No. No.
And they only had 1 child, a girl named Ruth.
No, they all would have been out of my parameter,
You were,
except for when I was at Zion,
Right.
church. I mean, but they weren't members of them that I can recall at all.
okay. Okay. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, I have no recollection of.
Okay. Okay, cool.
When you were, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
When you were growing up, and like Hurricane Hazel came through during the 50s. You remember
The
that?
what? Hurricane what?
Hazel. You remember her that?
Hazel?
Yeah, Hurricane Hazel. This is like 58.
No, I remember a hurricane, and it was before 58.
56 maybe.
It would have been. I was working I was in high school,
Yes. Yes.
and I was working at the Acme on Acme Food Store. It was on Hamilton Avenue, and I was a cashier part-time cashier at that time, and I can remember that hurricane. All electricity was gone.
Right.
But the manager insisted that the store had to be open,
Wow. Oh,
and
that was a
so I went to work in the hurricane, and he had candles all over the place. And the cash registers at that time, you could operate manually. It had a crank on the side. So I can remember we teamed up, and so one would be operating the cash register, and the other would be cranking. And that's very vivid to me.
Yeah.
But that hurricane was.
It's horrible.
I don't know what it was called.
Yeah, that was a.
And it was back. It had to be back.
I remember
It had to be back when I was in high school.
So 50,
Senior year, maybe even.
again, I think it was 56.
Huh?
I think it was 56. It was an odd number year. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
And I was wondering that because I was wondering if you hear any stories that came about, something that happened down at Herring Run or something of that nature at the park. Any park stories afterwards you hear about somebody, certain areas flooded or bridges over broke down or something that I just want to know if you heard any stories like that.
I don't recall anything on that. I know that Herring Run flooded in a lot of the storms.
Okay.
But
you hear about any bridges falling down or breaking apart? I just wonder.
I was
because
Yeah.
stories go around different neighborhoods and they tell people all kinds of, oh, did you hear about this
no
thing?
recollection
Okay.
except for the fact that the experience with the store.
That's a good story anyway. What you just said. They force you to work during a hurricane.
Yeah.
Jack, I just want to explore with you a little bit about the relationship that you remember of Lorville with Morgan State. Do you remember anybody talking about it?
Morgan State?
Yeah, university. Anybody talking about it? Older people around you talking about it? Anything at all?
No. It's really no. It was there.
Yeah, got it.
And nothing that I can recall at all.
Okay, great.
It was, as I said, it was a college, and it was there, and we heard it on football games and the band practice,
I still hear the band practice.
Yeah, and
I can
You
hear
can
it.
hear from down there?
Oh yeah, I can hear the band practice.
Because it's right across from
It
the
goes
wind.
across the water.
Yeah.
I
we
love
hear,
it.
We hear it all the time.
Yeah.
I had, in my congregation, I had some professors
Right.
from
Mm-hmm.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Nice.
but
So is there anything else that you want to add? I don't have any other questions, David, is there anything else you want to add about your family's early life in Lorville? Because one thing is that there are a lot of Germans, truck farmers that were in Lorville, like your family.
yeah.
We talked to another gentleman that we interviewed,
Yeah.
Niles Ruckert.
Yeah.
And his family were truck farmers that came there from Germany in the 1840s. Same sort of thing.
Yeah, it did same. It was a high immigration at the time.
Yeah.
And most they came at that time in the 1840s. They came through Fells Point, because it wasn't until after the Civil War that Locust Point became the center of immigration.
Yeah.
But Fells Point, there were periods in the mid 1800s that Fells Point was only second to Ellis Holland in immigration. And but I had, so I did write, I had a series of sermons that I gave at Augsburg. to, no, it wasn't. It was at Epiphany that when I went there, I sort of introduced myself, and I wrote them down. It's in a book, but it was my childhood memories, lifetime treasures. But some of this what I said here, but
Great.
you know, basically, it was that time when I was growing up after. Now I remember some of the war, World War II,
Right.
and what was going on then, and I can remember the celebrations on Harford Road on VE Day, or
Right.
I can remember going down there, and cars were going by honking their horns and that kind of thing. And I can remember all, in fact, I'm giving a sort of a presentation tomorrow on the civil defense during the Second World War. And my father was a air raid warden, and the air raids. I can remember the
Drills, yeah.
the drills,
Air raid drills.
and going into blackout rooms, and where you couldn't. The air raid wardens were to go around to make sure that there was no light going out of that house, and if you didn't, you kind of tap on in fact, I have some of the stuff. That's what it's. I'm dealing with tomorrow. Some of the stuff from the air raid wardens. They had fire extinguishers, and they were big pumps with and I still have one.
Oh, wow.
And the air raid wardens helmets, and
So where's your presentation?
huh?
Where is your
Oh,
presentation?
it's at Zeke's.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a group of guys get together
really?
every Friday morning
Oh, and
at 8:30,
oh gosh.
and so they have the theme of show and tell.
Oh, that's
So so everyone
So is that Zeke's?
brings something to show and tell.
Yeah.
So I'm and it so happened that we were talking about the World War II a couple of weeks ago, and I said, well,
That's
we
great.
had that, and
So you remember? I mean, you said your father was a.
yeah,
Oh, that's
my dad
fantastic.
he was exempt from the war
So that's what he did.
because of being in heating.
In this
In the
field.
service industry of heating, servicing burners and coal furnaces and such. And so he was exempt until the very last year, weeks of the war. He got a letter that he was going to be called.
Wow. Did you get called in?
No, he
Because I didn't.
he just missed it,
Wow.
And but they were ready to call him up, and they forewarned, and so they had finally gone through that many people in the war.
Wow, that's something.
But Yeah,
Jack, what year was your father born? What year was your father born? What year was your father born?
Born
Uh-huh.
1909.
Okay. Yeah, then he was pretty old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 98.
My father's born in 1918, and he was in World War II. And when he went in, he was 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He went in at 41.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So your father must have been close to 30 when they went to go get him.
Yeah, yeah. He was the age and had a family.
Yeah.
And then top it off. It was,
Yeah. So my father was
a,
unencumbered.
a job that was needed
Right.
domestically.
Right.
So
So Jack, you were born in 38?
37.
37, okay.
Yeah.
In fact, a couple of weeks will be
A couple of years, two more,
add
two
a
more
year
years.
on.
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
27th.
Oh, it's on Thanksgiving this year.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I was born during an Army-Navy game.
Oh, jeez. But your father was like, why is this happening now? That's great.
But I'm going to leave, and I know I've forgotten
Well,
some
honey,
stuff.
that's fine because that's fine. We're going to be in contact with you. So I know that, David, you wanted Jack to give his name again and his